welcome to Fellowship of Fandoms Podcast, Episode 3. And it happens to be, we are covering House of the Dragon Season 3, Episode 3. I am Strider, and here with me I have Shiv, my good old friend. Hey, what's up? Thanks for being with us. And by us, I mean you and me.
Hello. Happy to be here super late at night with you. I'm sure this will lead to an interesting, almost off-the-wall, chaotic episode, so I'm ready.
Well, let's go. I will say it's a couple of hours after midnight here. It was a good episode. I think it was kind of like, as they like to say, one of those bottle episodes almost. Besides the introduction scene, the one that we get like the cold open, basically all of it happens in the Red Keep, which is interesting. And actually, that's one of the interesting points we will be bringing up. But yeah, let's just overall impressions as a starter. How do you like the episode?
I thought it was pretty good. I guess the overall lesson to take away from this episode is the, old saying, be careful what you wish for. That was basically this entire episode is, all right, Rhaenyra wanted to be queen. Now she's queen, and she has to deal with queen problems. So I like how you said it was like a bottle episode. That's kind of, that's pretty much a fair assessment, other than, some of the opening shots where like a massive army and stuff. Like the budget probably was a little bit smaller for this one because a lot of it was filmed just in a couple of rooms in the castle. So yeah, it was a good episode to kind of start to feel the pain of being a queen.
And it's titled Rhaenyra Triumphant, which actually happens to also be the chapter in the book Fire and Blood that begins after Rhaenyra captures King's Landing. So it's a direct reference, as direct as you can have it, towards the book. But also, I think one cannot help but feel that there's at least a layer of irony there. Rhaenyra Triumphant. Yeah, it's been great. She seems to be having a ton of fun. But just before we actually go into the episode proper, let's go to this intro scene. So it is a cold open, as they are usually called. It's a cold open scene before the credits. And actually, this is a thing they do for the first episode of every season, which further goes to show that originally this was meant to be the first episode of this season. So again, we are seeing continual, evidence basically of all these structural changes and adaptations, I guess, they had to do with the end of season 2. So we actually saw episode 9, episode 10 of season 2, and now we are actually seeing the start of season 3. Start of season 3 is the season where, Rhaenyra takes over King's Landing, and then we see what the blacks, this side of the Targaryen civil war, will be doing with King's Landing and all the other things that will be happening. But yeah, so it's just like this another proof of the fact that they had all these issues in the background of season 2. The fact that we didn't have a cold open in the previous 2 episodes. In this one, we have it. And also, consequently, this also happens to be actually the 100th episode in the world of Westeros. So that's another. It's just a big episode with all these funny little bits. But yeah, congrats on the 100th episode of being in Westeros. How does that make you feel?
That is an insane fact. There's been 100 episodes of Westeros. Wow. So 8 seasons? 8 seasons of the first one, Game of Thrones, 2 other seasons of House.
Yeah, and then here we are. House of the Dragon Season 3. Season 3, baby.
Time flies when you're dealing with nihilism and depressing shows.
Generational trauma, genocide. It's so many things with this show. But yeah, anyway, those are a couple of fun facts, let's say, regarding this episode. But let's go to the episode proper. It's kind of it's not as easy maybe to discuss this one. I think this probably won't be a long episode. Proceeds to ramble for an hour and a half. Let's see, maybe we can do it. But it's just because this whole episode is showing us all the stuff that go, all this. I mean, as you said, like, be careful what you wish for. She has taken the throne. What now? And another extra layer of this, she is in many ways, Rhaenyra, the queen, is in many ways directly responsible for the fact that people are starving because she ordered the blockade of the city, of the sea routes that lead to the city. Again, it was war. It was there are obviously arguments for making such a decision. There was logic behind it, and now she has to deal with all these consequences. And there are rats in the castle because King Aegon, or Aegon, sorry, I don't know. People say Aegon and Aegon. He killed the rat catchers after the events of previous season when Daemon sent the killer to assassinate the king, I guess. But then they took the lives of his family, of his children. I mean, oh my god, what are we talking about? It's just these people are terrible. All this stuff is terrible. So anyway, she's dealing with all these things, and there are people who do not have food, people who do not have like basic things they need, the basic provisions they need for work. There are so many of these things, and it's just like from one point to another, from one person to another, from one issue to another, she keeps going, and you can see all this piling up. Were there any particular things that like caught your eye or ear as she was dealing with all these problems?
Yeah, I think what you said a second ago about the rat infestation, that was a good observation, that the family previously killed all the catchers, so now the castle's running rampant with them. Just the overall like feeling of being overwhelmed could be felt in this episode too, because like everyone has a problem, nothing's going right. Seems like she was dealt a bad hand too, because someone stole the basically all of the treasury, right? Like they stole all the coin of the castle, and so she has nothing to work with to help any of the problems. And it's interesting that the one person she's going to counsel with is kind of like has to be like one of her like biggest enemies, right? Like she literally killed Alicent's father, and she's going to that person for a counsel. That's not a good idea. Like you can never. I feel like you couldn't trust someone like that. So very interesting. Like she doesn't have many people to turn to right now, and she's making more enemies. Like if I were to jump slightly with this scene, right? Corlys has done nothing but serve her to the best of his ability and ask for one thing that sounds very simple, and she won't give it to him. And you can see the other side of the coin, right? Is the implications of her bloodline and how that could be perceived to the general public. But yeah, it's she's got a big mess to unravel and hopefully clean up. That's for sure.
Yeah, I was wondering, and I guess I was somewhat caught unprepared for this, for Corlys and her having this kind of falling out already. Even though this is going to be only 4 seasons, we are past the halfway point of this show at this point, so it makes sense. This is not going to end well. I think 95% of these people, I don't know. I do not know who dies or how, but I'm guessing that like 95% of these people are going to meet their untimely end before the end of the show. So I guess it makes sense that we'll have her argue with Corlys. Like, whether they can patch things up, I guess it remains to be seen. But respect for these two guys, like Adam and Alan, have been staunch followers. They've been doing their job to the best of their abilities so far. We got the Dragon Rider, we got the Commander. Both have went to battle, I guess, one way or another already for Rhaenyra. And yet, yeah, she cannot. And again, it is for us, and we are both not book readers. I guess we both agree that it's a well-made conflict. Things that she has to do, decisions she has to make. You can see like, oh, that's gonna bring you so much grief if you do this. But then you also like, but I do see your point, and that's what makes this so engaging, right? You can like see the dilemma that people can have, and her as queen, well, I guess she's got nothing but dilemmas now.
Yeah, and that brings up another great point from this episode. So we have this dilemma here with Corlys and the naming, and we also had this dilemma, right? She's pushing her boundaries with the High Septon, and the choices she makes, one way or the other, could have major impacts on her following. So, yeah, what did you think about this piece of her dilemma?
Yeah, I didn't think about the fate, to be honest. And then when it was brought up, I was like, oh my god, yeah, actually, this is going to be a huge thing for obvious reasons. Though they did change this compared to the books. I read like in some commentary around the episode that this guy was not actually in King's Landing, and she does have some kind of coronation on her own. So this is one of these changes that they are bringing into the show. So I'm not sure where it's going to take us. But yeah, if you mess with the faith of the people, that can cause serious issues. But I did like his point about like his rebuttal of the things she was saying. And then that particular thing that he says, dragons are, I don't know if he says abominations, but he says something along those lines that he says they only destroy, they can never create. And in some ways, you can also describe the Targaryens like this, because they did unite the kingdom, but also there has been so much suffering because of them, including like several civil wars, and then all this other struggle that brings us to the status quo of Game of Thrones with the Mad King. So it was a good scene, and I really like the few bits that Septon had to point out. He warned her, do not mess with the fate of the people, do not underestimate it. And I mean, I guess, whenever someone says these things, you just know, okay, this is going to come back. She will suffer for this. It will end badly. It, one way or another, will come back at her. So yeah. What about you?
Dare I say, shame, shame, shame. Hopefully, we don't get a repeat of that.
Who knows?
But yeah, I definitely agree. It's an interesting conflict that they're setting up here, and I wonder if there's some, I don't know, allegory is not the right word, but some symbolism to this in modern times or recent events or something like that, because it's like the church is against, in this case, dragons, which maybe you could draw a line to some kind of new technology or something that wasn't fully understood at the time that could lead to unfair advantages to certain communities. So I could see there being an argument for that, but as we said, it's very late in the night and my brain's firing on half cylinders, so I can't make the connection, but maybe someone in the comments can. But yeah, no, it's interesting. Like I think they're setting something up for the future. Like if not this season, next season, something crazy is going to happen between her and the church.
Yeah, for sure. And this is one of those things where J.R. Martin's world building comes into play, right? Like religion has played a huge key role in the history of the world. Wherever you go, one way or another, some kind of religion, some kind of belief system has played a huge role in shaping the history of whichever particular region we're talking about. Wherever humans lived, there was something like that that made a huge impact. So yeah, Fate of the Seven. I mean, and especially in a setting like this that's so heavily medieval Europe inspired, religion was literally the most important thing. Like literally the most important thing. The divine right of kings. Actually, we see a twist on that where Targaryens, and especially and not all of them, but like Targaryens such as Daemon and I guess Aemond as well, they do believe that they are better than the others. They are. I mean, I think even in this episode he says that they're kind of like gods because they have dragons. They are the dragon riders. And then you have this contrasted with this faith. And we had crusades. Just to name one huge, obvious example of an impact that religion can have. People traveled across Europe with their armies for years to get to the lands of Levant and to try to take over Jerusalem and all these things. And you have similar things going on in this world, and it just makes sense because people, especially in the time like this where people struggle, where they lack food, they lack basic means of sustaining their life, their families. This is where you really need religion. This is where the belief, the religious fervor goes ever stronger. And yeah, I feel like this is just setting up a huge kind of revolt or something along further down the line. And yeah, we had this scene where this lady she's the head of the Weavers Guild, and she talks about how because all of the sheeps have been eaten, or most of them have been eaten by dragons, they don't have wool. They need the wool to weave. But then also the guy after her says, and we also need meat. So it's just a struggle all across the board. And yeah, that's also that. It also might tie in with the religion, or it will. I mean, it will for sure. Do you have any theories what might happen, like or like when it may happen? Because I guess what might happen is maybe a bit easier to guess.
Well, it's kind of like the guilds are like the unions in modern times, right? So if if the dragons or her changes impact more and more guilds, it could lead to a strike of some kind, which could have more dire consequences to the kingdom. So
Ooh.
I could easily see that. And besides that, if there isn't a strike, if the dragons are killing all the crops, then it's going to cause famine and starvation anyway. So, yeah, she's in a bit of a pickle. She's got to figure out how to feed the dragons, but not take away the people's food sources as well. So, yeah,
Mm.
a lot's going to happen.
Yeah, and then we also see that how Rhaenyra is trying to figure things out, and they ask, "Will you send for your small council because there's still a Dragonstone?" And Rhaenyra is, and I guess rightfully so, pretty salty for the fact that she says like they did betray me, even if they didn't say or do anything, they betrayed me just by not doing anything. So she doesn't want to bring them over, so she's basically working with whom she has here. So we have the Maester, who has survived the takeover. We have Corlys. We have, what's her name? Valaria or something? The Lady of
Sounds close
Whispers?
enough.
Something like that. Played in a very epically, stoically confident way by this actress. I think she's absolutely slaying it with everything she's got, everything she's given. And he kind of represents the common folk, while then you have Daemon on the other side, just being full Daemon. Yeah, I think this is the people watching this with the video on, or for people not watching with the video on, is the photo of Daemon at the beginning of the episode with his dragon Caraxes in the background, and his dragon is just grinning and just waiting for chaos to ensue. Luckily, there was nothing like this, but it's a good photo. Anyway, Daemon is just being like so. I think it's Valaria. I wish I knew the name of the Lady of Whispers. But she is basically representing the small folk, and she's saying, hey, people will be dying of, they're already dying of starvation. They're already having so many issues. What's the name?
Missaria.
Missaria. Yes. She's saying, like, if you do your coronation, which Rhaenyra was planning to do, they might resent you even more because you're doing this while they're literally starving. And then you have Daemon on the other side saying, opposite of her saying, the war is won. Let's go conquer other lands. Let's go conquer Dorne. Let's go conquer the Free Cities. Let's go conquer Essos. In fact, he even says, and we have this is actually a fun Easter egg. Daemon says, let's go to Essos. Let's go to Free Cities. Let's go conquer Dorne. Let's go even then further east. You have 6 dragons. Aegon had 3 dragons. Let's go. And then he references even. They say that at the lands in the Far East, there's a city of winged men. And actually, this is a very interesting bit because the city of the winged men is mentioned. There's like a brief mention of it in the book called The World of Ice and Fire, as this maybe mythical, maybe a real location at the extreme eastern edge of the map. So, like in the Far East, it is. Now, listen to this now. So, this is a really cool Easter egg. It is located on the western end of a small inland lake, at the eastern end of which is Carcosa, a strange city ruled by its yellow king. Now, why is this interesting? Have you heard of Lovecraft, the horror master of the master of horror stories from about 100 years ago? He's famous for Cthulhu base. He created Cthulhu, like all these like elder gods, like all these elder gods as well, like all these like cosmic monstrosities. And one of his main myths, one of his main stories is this about this city called Carcosa, which is this strange city, and then it is ruled by King in Yellow. So this is just a little tiny Easter egg for horror fans within the world of Ice and Fire, put there by G.R.R. Martin. So yeah, that was a fun little Easter egg there.
Fascinating. I would have never known.
Yeah, I mean, also I'll just say like full credit to the Game of Thrones fandom Wikipedia page. They have so many cool little tidbits like that there. So I'm just stealing it from over there. Though I did know about the city and King Yellow, I just didn't know it got mentioned in this world. I knew of it from its original source. But yeah, anyway, Daemon is just like, yeah, it's all good. Let's just go. Let's just ride into the sunset, invade other countries. Classic medieval Europe
Since you got an
style.
Easter egg.
Let's go.
Since you got an Easter egg, I'm going to go on a wild tangent unrelated to Game of Thrones. Let's see if you can follow along here with me. Did this actor look familiar to you?
Look familiar to me. All right, where do I know it from?
All right, here comes our fantastic tangents outside of what we're trying to cover. So his name is Dan. That would be awesome.
Right.
I don't believe he's from The Expanse, but his name's Dan Fogler, and he is in, for one fandom, he's in the Harry Potter's specifically the sequel series, so Fantastic Beasts. But I sadly know him from another movie called Balls of Fury. I don't know if you've seen that comedy, but he's in that as well. And if I remember right, I think he was a ping pong player in that. Like he was the main character. I just forgot the movie. It's been so long. Let's see. Balls of Fury. Yeah, it's about ping pong.
Oh my god!
That came out.
Thankfully, it's about that. I did not think that was what it was about. I will not say what I thought it was about.
It's a PG-13 podcast. But yeah, Balls of Fury.
Oh my god!
Came out in 2007, and it has like a lot of big names in it. It has Christopher Walken, George Lopez, Thomas Lennon, some comedic actor I really like too. But yeah, that was like one of those like tentpole comedy movies back when it came out. And he's been around. Like, I bet if you started looking at his filmography, other little things would pop up, like The Walking Dead, and Jay and Silent Bob, if that's your sort of thing. Yeah, he was in the reboot movie. But yeah, he's been around, and I was kind of shocked because he's an American actor, and I feel like Game of Thrones is typically mostly English European, so it was kind of surprising to see him in there.
I got you a fun fact about that too. I didn't think I was going to get to mention this because it was random, but here we are. Also, just a side note, and then people can do the math when we were recording this insane episode. It's 1-2 middle of halftime. In the middle of the first halftime, Belgium leads 2-1 against the United States. So usually the guys from the north, they speak with these like strong British accents. This guy is of the House of Manderley, which is one of the vassal houses of the Starks later on in the timeline. I forgot the exact details, but basically his family at this point in time is supposed to be somewhere a lot further in the south. So like not in let's say it's like not in UK, it's like in continental Europe. That's basically what's happening. So that's why that's the theory why this guy has been cast as a member of House Manderley. That from the main series, he does have northern accents because at that point they kind of live further up north or something. But they cast him for this one. That's the theory at least, because currently they're not up north. So he has a more regular accent, which is interesting.
Wow. A lot of fun facts today.
There you go. I did not think I would be bringing this one up. Anyway, let's actually go back to this scene. And also, congrats to us because we worked really hard to get to the half hour point. So let's start wrapping up, because I think we are nearing the natural conclusion. But I think this was a really cool scene. We had that whole dinner where Rhaenyra decides to prepare a banquet for all these lords and merchants because she heard that all of them have actually taken, like, they bought up all the food to stock up for the bad times, leaving the common folk to starve. And we have Rhaenyra trying to solve this by serving them rotten, rat-infested dinner. And then this guy just stands on the side, just laughs at them, and they have a little bit of a verbal sparring match briefly. But yeah, I was hoping for a scene like this, and I got it, and I was very happy when she did that. I wonder what the consequences will be. Obviously, there will be consequences. Nothing in this show will end up well. But yeah, what did you think of the scene?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty brilliant how she fed the rats to the highborns, and there's probably some beauty to this that was added, but like I said, it's very late in the night, so my brain's firing at half cylinders here. But she caused, or yeah, her family, I should say, caused the. Wait, was it her family that caused the rat infestation, or was that Allison's family?
Alicent's family basically did that because Rhaenyra's family sent assassins who then took the lives of Alicent's grandkids, and because they went
Gotcha.
through the help of one of the rat catchers, the king, grief-stricken with the loss of his, well, at least one child, he just ordered to publicly execute all of them, all of the rat catchers in the city.
Gotcha. Okay, so that didn't pan out the way I was expecting, but yeah, it was a great scene, and people that you would think she would want to have allegiance with, she is also ticking off. So that's yet another group of individuals that are probably going to rebel in some fashion. So once again, it goes with the theme of her kind of going against people that could potentially help her, unfortunately. And in her mind, she's doing something noble, which is she has the people's best interest. But it seems like if you don't play the game correctly, it could just cause more harm than good. So yeah, there's a moral dilemma there. And I guess that's in all the politics, right? What do you have to do to, keep the status quo and make incremental improvements? So yeah.
Yeah.
Fascinating stuff.
I wish politicians actually approached the world with these things in mind. We would be living in a way better place. But yeah, I think with this we're kind of closing in. Like basically they're trying to clean up the red keep from all the remaining signs of the greens. Rhaenyra is trying to figure out how to leave the city. Daemon is doing Daemon things. Yeah, she does take some of the food from those wealthy merchants. So she starts giving it to the people. But yeah, one way or another, this will backfire. Next episode, 2 episodes from now, it will backfire. Actually, I was going to bring this up just now. We had this plot twist. Maybe we can go to the opening scene actually just for a bit. So Daemon went and confronted this big Hightower army at the beginning, Prince or Sir Ormond Hightower, this absolute unit-looking guy on the left with his absolute unit-looking friend on the right, and Daemon basically negotiates some kind of truce. Though later on we do learn that they have gone back on truce and have attacked a city. We see one surviving dragon keeper coming to King's Landing and reporting on it. But anyway, this scene was the one seen in the beginning that we saw, and that's where Prince Daemon, has been apparently given to Daemon as hostage, where we learned that this was actually, I think, a girl.
Yeah, that was a pretty good twist. I, once again, was not expecting it. Maybe if I read the books, who knows? I don't know if it was in the books, but maybe that would have helped. But yeah, it will be very interesting to see what transpires after this betrayal. I'm assuming there's going to be some swift action taken, and it's probably going to be another domino effect of whatever decisions made rashly is going to impact bigger and more complicated, I should say complex things. So yeah, I'd be curious. How about you?
So I didn't come to a conclusion that this might actually be a decoy or like a fake, whatever, I don't know, however you put this. So I thought that was a pretty good twist. Very smart, very shrewd on the side of Sir Ormond Hightower. But speaking of Sir Ormond Hightower, we can go to the photo of him. I just love the way his armor looks like. The green with the like this costume is just so cool. It's just cool. It's just absolutely amazing. Look at the richness of every single like square centimeter of this armor. It just looks so good. The sword looks amazing. The actor absolutely looks the part. I just love casting and costumography in this. And on the right side, we have, I think his name is Braca. He is the best friend of Cassian Andor in Star Wars Andor. Also, complete unit of a man. Yeah, I just want to just go back, praise the costumography and the casting because it's just always so good. I really, really want this armor and that sword and all of that. Like the details, the colors, the real feeling to it. It just all looks so good. Yeah, I was just like maybe some parting thoughts on my side. Do you have any comments about this or any final comments? And then we can kind of wrap up the episode.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. The costuming and the prop making of the show is top notch. It's something I echo in the Rings of Power space of please get us prop merch. I could say the same about this show. Like even this sword here looks very interesting and would love to have a physical version of it. So let's get to work.
Yes, please.
I think the company that made the Game of Thrones one was actually called Valyrian Steel, if I remember correctly. So let's see if they get the license to do House of the Dragon merch.
It would be cool. It would be very, very good. I would assume that they would have, it wouldn't be the same convoluted situation with Lord of the Rings rights to all of these things. Like, I think this should all be pretty straightforward because Martin was the one negotiating with them directly. So anyway,
Yeah.
We have seen 3 episodes so far, season 3, and so far, so good. I cannot complain, honestly. I think it's been great so far, and I guess season 3 can now properly start with this episode. Yeah, any closing thoughts?
Echoing you, I have no complaints so far. I think it's been pretty action packed. This episode was probably a little bit of a dip in action, but it was kind of necessary after having crazy 2 episodes before it. So I'm honestly fine with the breather, and we're starting to get details of like, hints of what could happen. So now's the fun part of speculation and waiting for the next big thing. So yeah, I'm excited to cover the rest of this series.
I'll actually leave you with one final piece of trivia. This is like one of the 2-3 episodes in this show so far that no one lost their lives in, and maybe like 5th or 6th overall across the 100 episodes so far in Westeros that no one lost their lives. I'm just trying to not use the bad words for YouTube algorithm. So anyway, this is what I'm leaving you with. This is where we're at with House of the Dragon. Luckily, nobody lost their lives today. Anyway, thanks for anybody. Thanks like to the 2, 3, 5 people who might actually reach the end of this episode. Somehow we have managed to talk for 40 minutes. It was a great episode. And yeah, podcast, our Fellowship of Fandoms podcast keeps going. We'll be covering this show until the end. And there's a couple really cool things that we are kind of working on in the background as well. So yeah, do that whole like, share, subscribe, comment, all of these cool things that you can do. Please do them. This is when it really matters. We're not a 1 million subscribers channel. So each of these things makes a huge difference. You're basically a hero for doing any of those things. So yeah, thanks, Shir, and thanks everybody else. See you on the next one.